KuCoin is now enforcing KYC, that's know your customer, and that's identity verification. Basically, they just need to verify who can use the platform and who can't. And the people that can't are US residents. Now, this is a problem for a lot of US residents that want to trade crypto because pretty much all of the crypto exchanges now are forcing KYC, know your customer, so you need to go through identity verification. There might be a couple small exchanges that will allow you to still use it without going through that process, but when it comes to a small crypto exchange, you are taking on more risk if they don't have an established reputation, or maybe trading on there might be difficult just because there isn't a lot of activity on there, so you won't get the best deals when making any type of trade. Now, there is DeFi, and the world of decentralized finance is amazing. There is a lot of opportunity, but there is also a lot of risk. So let's go over that. In this video, we're going to go over what is KYC, does it actually keep users safe, and where can you trade as someone who doesn't want to be restricted by where you live, and what are your options with that. I'm Dan. I make crypto content very occasionally. I really should do that more, but yeah, I'm gonna explain some stuff. There's other stuff I normally go with the introduction, but I'm getting lazy. All right, into the content. KYC and AML. So KYC, know your customer, AML, anti-money laundering law. Now let's go back into the past, and when crypto exchanges started popping up, especially in 2017, that wasn't a requirement. Anyone could create an account and start trading immediately. Now, since then, there have been a lot of changes with laws and regulations, and you can't do that anymore because the US gets mad and starts suing people and starts going after those companies. Now, Binance used to be a no KYC exchange and a lot of others, and then that changed with the new regulations that started popping up. Now, as of recently, from making this video, KuCoin was one of the last holdouts. It was still a great platform where you could use it without having to go through KYC, and I actually really liked using their interface and used it and still do pretty frequently. But I have multiple accounts, one that is KYC'd, and I'm going to explain how later in the video, and a few that aren't KYC'd because sometimes I want to hold different positions, especially when it comes to perpetual trading. That's just when you're trading on leverage. So back in the day, anyone could create a crypto account, but then a lot of people started doing money laundering, and that's when law enforcement started getting stricter about these things. And when people use a platform, those platforms are responsible for their customers. They need to know who's using that, and that's why you have to go through KYC and you have to submit your identity verification, and that's through your ID or a passport or a gas bill. You just need to prove who you are and where you live. Now, if you are a US resident, you're going to find it very difficult to find a crypto exchange that offers as much as an international exchange due to the regulations in the US. So if you are a US resident, you don't have the same access an international person would have when it comes to coin selection and products when it comes to crypto. That could be staking, that could be perpetuals, that could be other types of investments. So there is a whole world out there, but if you live in the US, you don't have access to any of that. But you could have access with DeFi, and if you actually go through KYC, and there are some roundabout solutions to that. All of this is just things you can do. I'm not saying you should do it, and I'm not saying you should do things illegally, because there are legal ways to do things, and decentralized finance is currently legal depending on the platform you're using. Some DeFi platforms do ban US IP addresses, and then IP addresses from other countries can still access it. Now, I'm not saying use a VPN or anything, but that's how some people get around it, or they just use another DeFi app or dApp to trade or whatever is available to their country. Now, fun fact, there was this Washington Post article, January 7, 2023, by Douglas McMillan, U.S. subpoenas hedge funds in probe of crypto exchange Binance. And the author actually reached out to me, but I thought it was a Scam email? Because this is WashingtonPost.com. I got emailed from WashPost.com. Now, if we look up Full Value Dan, now I'm actually included in this article, but the tone of this article is really anti-Binance and what they're doing, and I didn't want to be a part of that. But the video was how I beat Binance KYC, and that was just me talking about how I got international residency. And that's where I live. I've been living for the past 5 years in Taiwan, so I am not a US resident. Now, if you're familiar with using an exchange that doesn't have KYC, where you don't have to go through the verification process, you know that there are limits on your account. There might be limits on how much you can trade with leverage, there might be limits on how much you can withdraw daily, and that isn't what hackers are using it for. That's not what people are doing if they are doing money laundering because of those account limits. What hackers are using to move funds around, especially in the millions, they're buying hacked KYC accounts. Now, there's a few articles online that explain that hackers just buy hacked KYC accounts and they move money around that way. And there's a few different news articles that quote it for like $200 or $30 a pop, and it can be as low as $1 if you buy in bulk. And that's just what I've been reading. I don't buy anything on the dark net. This is just all what I've seen on the news and comments from Twitter. So the real reason KYC is required is because crypto exchanges don't want to support US residents because the US government is going to go after them. Of course, a crypto exchange wants you to trade on their platform because they make money from those fees. They don't want to stop anyone from trading on their platform. They want you to trade. They want you to have access to it. They want to create an environment where it's comfortable, safe, and reliable for you to consistently trade because they make money off that. Now, the US does enforce regulation on that, so these crypto exchanges and international corporations they don't want to deal with that. So that's why KYC for all major crypto exchanges are now required. Now, if we move into decentralized finance, where anyone has a crypto wallet that can connect to the internet, and if they have the right coins like Ethereum, they have access to everything. And we're going to get into that now. I kind of just break these videos out into different segments just so it's easier for me to edit and to talk about different categories. So what's left for US crypto investors? That's the world of DeFi, decentralized finance, or them becoming an accredited investor. That's where you have over $1 million in funds and then you can legally trade securities and non-securities, something like that. I actually don't have $1 million, so I have not gone the accredited investor route. Or you could set up a international business and trade through the business, or you could become an international resident. But the easiest thing for you to do right now is DeFi, because all you need is some Ethereum, and then you can bridge that to almost anything, anywhere, because Ethereum is kind of like,
oh, you got the mother go!
Where if you want to get into certain protocols, there's going to be some bridges for that. And if you are going to get started in DeFi Llama is a great resource to find out what you can do on a specific blockchain. So let's say you wanted to get started somewhere on Ethereum. There's over 800 protocols. If you want to get started in something in Arbitrum, there's over 300, and then you can find out more. So if we're going to click into something like Ethereum, we can find the different applications, or dApps, decentralized applications, that are running on the Ethereum blockchain. Now, DeFi is very complicated, lots of costly mistakes you could make, and it takes a long time to get comfortable with it. So this is not something anyone expects a new user to easily get involved with, which is why I think it is not completely banned in the US at the moment, just because it is too complicated, it is decentralized, and it's very hard to shut these companies down. And for myself, I got residency in Taiwan. I'm not saying you should do that. Maybe you should visit Taiwan and try the food. That's kind of why I stayed here and gained weight, because the food is delicious. But there are a lot of different countries out there that will allow you to get residency for a price. So that's kind of the problem here. If you have money, you can do anything. You can become an accredited investor. You can start international business. You can buy residency in another country. So forcing KYC, to me, in my opinion, it just seems like it's hurting the regular person who may not be as knowledgeable enough to get into DeFi, may not have enough money to do any of those other things, and yeah, you just don't have those resources. And it's mostly the US residents that are feeling that due to these restrictions. So that's my personal rant. I am looking into this legal ID where you get a digital residency in Palau. Look forward to that video. I actually got approved through the process, and I am currently waiting for my physical ID. They say you can actually pass KYC with that digital residency, so if that actually works, I'm gonna make a video on it. Alright, I guess that's it. If this video was at least somewhat helpful or entertaining, feel free to hit that like button, follow me on Twitter, other links in the description, and with that, I hope you got your
Tang for days.